Alright, hi, welcome. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is like the 20th time that I've said hello, hi, welcome, because I'm kinda having a hard time today filming. I think what it is, here are my expectations, gathering them, gonna crush them up. I think that helped, maybe. Also, there is a motorcycle making a dumb noise outside. So let's just do it. Hi, welcome. Welcome to episode 2 of Miko Makes. You're here, I'm here. I've got notes today, so I feel more organized. For those of you who are new, welcome. This is only my second podcast, so it's probably most of you. My name's Miko. I'm a fiber artist based in Washington State. I'm in Olympia currently. That's where I've been based for the last 6 years. I am a queer knitter, which I forgot to mention in my first episode. I forgot a lot of things. Also, I have ADHD, so I'm a neurodivergent knitter too. Yeah, and I'm happy to sprinkle all of that goodness, which is me, into my podcasts, in combination with my passion for the fiber arts. I am a knitter primarily. I also spin, and I'm a beginner. This is the beginning of my journey, so this is my space where I'm documenting all of that, and I get to see my progress, I get to share it with you, and connect with you about something we both love. So, hi. I have some whips. Sorry, that's my little paper. I have some whips for you today. I have some garden updates, and I have no FOs today. There's been so much going on in my life in the past 2 weeks that I've probably cast more things on than I've actually finished, and yeah, I think that might be just kind of like reflective of my attention span lately. I've been like really emotional too. And, you know, part of it, I'm like, am I on my period? Am I about to get it? I have an IUD, so it's hard to tell, because I don't really, like, I can't really tell if I'm on my period or not with an IUD, which has been great. I love it. But it's also kind of interesting to not be as in tune with your body, too, so it's, you know, a trade-off. But anyway, yeah, I've been, like, really emotional lately, and I've been like just like wanting to cry at almost anything, and it's kind of funny. Like, I can at least observe it when it's happening and not, like, you know, let it consume me. But for example, I've been watching a lot of Junior Bake Off on Netflix, which is like the Great British Bake Off, but our Great British Baking Show, but with children, British children, and it is the most precious thing I've ever seen. I already thought that the adult version was pretty precious, and for the record, English like reality competition shows, and I guess, you know, Great British Baking Show is my only reference for that, but I mean, that alone is worlds different than American competitions of the same sort of genre. Like the editing, the drama, my favorite part is how the contestants interact with each other. There's like zero sabotaging involved, and there's like the cutest, like, let me help you moments, and it's okay, don't cry. And I'm talking about like the adult version, which is what my husband and I watched initially, but like the kid version, and also being like maybe super hormonal, I just like, I want to hug all of them when they're doing really well and excited about something, and when they're scared that they're gonna get eliminated, or like bummed that they're their jelly didn't set or something like that. And yeah, I'm like, I don't want to have children anytime soon, but those kids, I'm like, oh, I would love a daughter like Erin, or oh, Cece, I'm so proud of you, or oh my gosh, Robbie is tying Fern's apron, what a good big brother type figure, or something like that. Like, just all these moments where I'm like, I'd be so proud if they were my kids. But like, yeah, that's gotta be like your uterus talking to you, right? Like, even if they're not babies, it's still like your body or your heart is like, oh, like very maternal. Anyway, yeah, so I've been emotional. Been maybe a little bit stressed too, because I'm moving. So this is the big news. I'm moving to Port Townsend, and I'm really excited about it. And oh, forgot to mention too, for those of you who saw the first episode, I am wearing, because I didn't model it for you last time, I am wearing the Summer Secret Crop by Jessie Made. This was the FO that I shared in episode 1, with the Stolen Stitches, Carol Feller, I believe, Rolling Bales yarn. So I'll just stand up and do a little modeling. Do 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 do. I actually blocked this top too, which I'm really proud of, because I've kind of been lazy in the past and didn't do any of that. But yeah, here it is. And then if you want to see the yarn, I really enjoyed this pattern. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, as I was saying, life news, Port Townsend. For those of you who don't know where Port Townsend is, it is on a peninsula, the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, so Western Washington. If you're picturing where Seattle is, Port Townsend is actually northwest of Seattle, across the Puget Sound. So there's water that separates Seattle from the Olympic Peninsula. And in that network of islands, there's like the Olympic Peninsula, the San Juan Islands, Whidbey Island, Seattle, and like mainland Washington. Olympia's down here, Tacoma, Seattle. This is the peninsula, Olympic Peninsula, that I was talking about, and then this is Port Townsend. I hope that made sense. So in that cluster of like islands and bays, there's a lot of like ferries that can take you to and from those places. So it's quite nice to go on like little day adventures or weekend adventures and just like get to change your scenery quite quickly from like, you know, more urbanized Seattle. But the Olympic Peninsula in particular is quite a magical place. A lot of great hiking, a lot more rural land out there, and farmers. So that's part of the reason why, that's quite a big reason for why I'm moving to Port Townsend, is to be closer to people who are doing the work that I want to do, which is working the land, raising livestock, actually producing more handmade goods. There's a lot of woodworkers in Port Townsend too, and there's a famous boating school too, like a boat building school in Port Townsend. So I'm not sure if any of you are know of that school, but that's where it's located. And there's a lot of young people too, my age, who share in those kind of same values, and permaculture. My husband and I are big into permaculture, so there's a lot of permies up there too. So yeah, we are moving in about 2 weeks, and I'm like pretty overwhelmed. Excited, absolutely, but like overwhelmed by all the little things that need to fall into place still in order to make that happen. There's a lot of there's a lot of old people in Port Townsend, and I really like that they're, for the most part, really interested in bringing younger people to take things over, but also like teach skills that they want to pass on, and they're very educated too. So it's not, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but what I am trying to say is that the property owner of the property that my husband and I will be moving to is a little old-fashioned, as are a lot of other property owners up there who are renting out to younger people. And so there's just, you know, some logistic things that like signing the lease and communication, all that kind of stuff, just a little bit slower than it could be, which is totally fine. But like, it's putting me in a pinch where I am like unable to give an exact last day of when I, you know, can work at my workplace here. Like, we still have to let our current landlord know that we're gonna actually be vacating, but like if you send the notice too soon and then like something happens and the lease for the new place falls through, we're out of a place. Like, I can't really risk that. So anyway, it's kind of come down to the last few days of those things needing to fall into place. I could talk more about that, but I kind of feel like we should get to the knitting because that's what you're here for. So yeah, mildly stressed, mostly excited. Everything's good. Everything I'm super, super grateful for. Money is tight, 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 tight. But it's gonna be okay. We're downsizing quite a bit too, which I'm actually really happy about. Because we are moving into a tiny house. A 1-bedroom tiny house. More of a cottage, possibly too. We're sort of split between two potential houses. One's a tiny house, one is a bigger tiny house. I would say it's a house. It's like 2 bedrooms. Oh, it's so unbelievable. They both are. I love them both. But I'm just like frustrated because we were set on one and then the person who's living in that one like changed their mind about their leave date, and so we're getting set up for the second one, and the second one is actually the bigger one, and we're getting a deal potentially. But anyway, I just don't like not knowing, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know where I'm gonna be living in the next 2 weeks, and it's stressing me out. So that's that. Whips today. I have 1, 2, I guess I have 2 whips for you today. 2 whips, and I actually do have 2 FOs. So maybe let's start with the FOs. One that I'm really proud of. I mean, I'm proud of them all. Here we have my first ever handspun yarn. So I graduated. I finished my beginning spinning class with Wendy Clark over at our local yarn shop, Ollie's, here in Olympia. And I spun this. Let me zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Oh, it's just a little baby 2-ply that I spun on an Ashford traditional. It was a model from the 80s or so, and it's so interesting. It was quite a janky wheel, and it worked just fine. But it's funny because it being a janky wheel made it so that I really had to get to know it, you know, like its quirks and its the things about it that made it like unique. I had to literally kind of like take the uprights apart a little bit and like play with the tension, and I was like, oh, the metal like spoke that connects the wheel to the spinning thing in the middle, like that thing was completely missing, and I didn't know that that was an issue until like I got a spinning wheel of my own, so it's fun to like be comparing the two. But yeah, this was my first Handspun. This is the Corriedale that I talked about in episode 1, is the white. This bluish, greenish gray, that's so lovely. And doesn't it look lovely with this yellow too? Like, it's so cute. I would love to make a shawl out of it, but I don't think I have enough yarn. But isn't that lovely? I wish I could spin more and make a shawl, but maybe I'll make like a kerchief or something. I love putting these up, like this top and this little skein on a hanger together because it looks really cute. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the blue-gray. The blue-gray is a mystery fiber type. I mean, it's wool, but I don't know exactly what. It kind of feels like a Corriedale as well. It's not as soft as a merino, that's for sure. But yeah, spun great nonetheless. And look at that. There's no like over twist, like, you know, as the skein goes itself, there's no like significant over twisting. So I'm pretty proud of that. There absolutely is over twisting in the yarn itself. Let's see if I can find a little, they're calling them ponytails. I don't know if that's actually what they're called, but I think that's so funny. Like that, you see? Like this right here. There's quite a bit of that. And to be honest, I could have, oh, there's another one. I could have spun the white better. The blue you can see is spun much better, but I could have spun the white better, but I did the white like before the morning of my last class, and I just felt like I needed to show up with a bobbin, like a full bobbin, because the lesson for that last class was plying, which is spinning the two together. And I kept thinking, like, I can do it better than that. I can do it better than that. And it was one of those days where, you know, you just hop on your wheel and it's just a bad spinning day. And I was like, uh-oh. So I had to, and I only had 2 bobbins. So I had to just stick with what I made that morning, and it plied just fine. So as far as a first yarn goes, I'm really proud of this. And I'm going to keep this forever. So yeah, first FO. Second FO, this was more so like just a fun project that kept my hands busy for a while, but like with the intention of it being a gift for my workplace. I, without disclosing too much because I want to protect my privacy, I work at a cafe, and the cafe has cups and bottles of water at each table, and I always kind of felt like the tables could be zhuzhed up a little bit more. Like they already are pretty cute. Like we have fresh flowers, bottles of water, cups, and these adorable napkin holders that are brightly colored and painted in beautiful ways. But the cups, I just felt like they should be on a coaster. So I made little coasters for them with cotton yarn, and it was a way to like practice my Intarsia color work technique. Okay, I hit that limit again of 20 minutes on my camera. So here's the second round. Yeah, so I got to practice my little Intarsia color work technique. I really like this one. And this is the back side of the coaster, so I'm not really worried about that. I didn't block these at all, and honestly I'm kind of nervous too, because I'm worried that and I know this is gonna happen, it's gonna bleed. Like, the red is gonna bleed into the white, but it was a fun project. I just did a bunch of random ones. So like there's this one, there's this one. Is that in focus? I hope it is. I did this one. Yeah, I had a lot of cotton yarn, so and then I just kind of did like little itty bitty ones. And then like simple ones. Seed stitch. I love the seed stitch. Oh, sorry, could you hear me? I love the seed stitch. It's I don't know if it's underrated or not. I bet it's not. I just feel like I don't see it as much as I see other types of stitches. But anyway, yeah, so I've got those to give to my workplace as sort of a parting gift, and also sort of a way to force them to keep thinking about me every time they clean and set tables. I'm so grateful for my job at my cafe here in Olympia. It's such a great way to get to know a community, get to do physical work too. I know I think it's good for me, honestly, especially with ADHD, I will say. I have worked in healthcare before for about 2.5 years. I've worked in sales before, so like behind a desk, computer screen situation, and I've worked at cafes and in food service. I was a server and all that. I've noticed a huge difference for me in those two different kinds of workplaces. I do so much better in a like food service kind of space where I'm just physically doing stuff constantly. If I'm not bussing tables, I'm washing dishes, or I'm making coffee, or I'm making food, I'm cleaning something, like there's just always something to do. That's the kind of work that works best for me. When I was in healthcare, it was a lot of like phone calls, prioritizing of things, and I could not do that for the life of me. Or life of me? Love of me? Life of me? I don't know. I couldn't do it. I mean, I could try, and I like tried really hard for a long time, and the stress just ate me alive. And yeah, that's part of the whole coming to learn more about myself and just how I function, and what work environments, what kind of living environments, how my spaces need to be arranged to work best for me, has helped me. And having my adult ADHD diagnosis, I think I was diagnosed in like about a year ago at this point. It's helped me tremendously. And as an Asian American too, it is really difficult to acknowledge that you're neurodivergent, because in your culture, neurodivergence is not a thing. Like, it's just not. Mental health is not a thing. You are just lazy, or something's wrong with you. So anyway, I am still very much in the process of reworking those narratives, those that kind of conditioned way of perceiving myself, and like beating myself up and thinking like you know, I'm stupid or something's wrong with me. And instead, like, cultivating the ability to step back and, like, look at myself and see that there are so many forces at work beyond just, like, you know, my ability to do something being shit, you know? Anyway, I just want to put that out there because ADHD is an important thing to talk about, and I want to be here to represent for my community, especially the Asian community. I feel like the changes that I've made in my life in the past year have helped me so much. And I just want to be able to provide that same kind of support to anyone else who is going through the same thing. The past, like, decade of my life, I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety. And as a teenager, too, I am so grateful for the perspective that I have on my life now, to just have, like, more compassion for my younger self and more confidence now as an adult in doing what I want to do and feeling okay to do it. I feel like I'm going on a tangent, and you know, there will definitely be more sprinkles of this throughout the podcast as we go on. So if you're here for that, that's awesome. I'm here for you, and yeah, let's keep going. So those are the finished objects. On to the works in progress. This is, speaking of Asian Americans, this project, this pattern was done by Amy Sher. She's a Taiwanese American pattern maker, designer, knitwear designer. Hang on. Oh my god. Yes, so she was a knitwear designer, and she did this coloring book tee that I think was released kind of recently, this year, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong. And I'm not done with it, but I started it a couple weeks ago. I completely forgot to mention it on episode 1, but this is it. Let me stand up so you can see it a little bit better. Dun da da dun. Where I'm at with it right now is the bind off. I'm using a tubular bind off as instructed in the pattern, and it's a great bind off technique. I really like it. It's nice and clean. Let me zoom in. Nice and clean. I did make a few mistakes because it's a bind off. This bind off is on the hem, so it's quite a lot of, like, yarn to be pulling through and sewing it up, essentially. Also, this yarn in particular is very toothy, so the first, like, 2 inches were a nightmare, and then I guess after enough friction, the yarn sort of softened up and gave in. So, but yeah, anyway, it's taking so long. I think I only got half of it done. It's taking so long to finish the bind off that I got impatient and started another project entirely. And so I have 2. But yeah, the yarn is it's a Barocco Providence yarn. It is 65% merino, 20% baby alpaca, and 15% silk. So, like, it didn't strike me as a really toothy yarn to begin with, but once I did the bind off, I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's nice. It kind of is a little scratchier than I expected it to be. Sorry about that noise. That was the ball band. But yeah, it's a lovely yarn. I love that there are these big chunks. is this one? Maybe I'll find another one. It kind of keeps the design exciting because like it's thin for a while and then it gets like, you get to a big fat chunk and you're like, woo, and you just like shove it in. And it reminds me of like the ocean and how you would see just like flecks of seaweed or like glass, you know, those like shiny, smooth glass on the beach. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, like the green and the, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, just thick chunks like this. So let's see. You would be knitting, 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 and then you're like, ooh, big chunk. And then it goes back to thin. And then sometimes those chunks are like green or, you know, magenta. So that keeps it fun. And speaking of fun yarns, my second whip is the I'm So Basic sock by Summer Lee Knits. Oh my gosh. Yes, Summer Lee Knits. And I am enjoying this series so much. It's called the School of Sock series, where she not only has a free pattern, go to her Ravelry, and I'll put a link to her website as well. And I'll link also Amy Scher's coloring book tee as well down below. But go to Summer Lee Knits' website or her Ravelry, and especially if you're new to sock knitting, which I mean, I'm a beginner, like I said earlier, and you will not be disappointed. I love, love, love how the theme of the series is like School of Rock, like the typeface is School of Sock, but in the School of Rock font, and that is such a near and dear movie to me, so that was cute. And the intro music for it, because she does have a video series for it, so she literally walks you through the pattern and knits along with you in case you feel like you need that extra bit of support, which, I mean, who doesn't? Like, so what I have here is just one sock so far. It was a cuff, like a top-down design where you start with the cuff, and it's a ribbed cuff, a 2x1. So knit, knit, purl, cuff, and then you knit down the leg and have the heel flap. I wasn't really a fan, because this is only the second pair of socks that I've knit. The first pair was from I think it was from a Craftsy like course or something I did online, and that was fun, and it was 2 at a time, but with like a DK weight, like acrylic wool blend, and so it wasn't actually socks that I was like excited about, but that was a similar method in which you did a heel flap like this, I'm pretty sure. I think I have it. Oh, I have it right here. So this was my first pair, and to be honest, like, I mean, the yarn is cute and all, and it fits my foot. It's a sock. There's definitely some weak areas which I want to improve upon. But it feels like I'm wearing art, you know what I mean? Like, I'm wearing something I wouldn't actually want to wear with boots, and like, yeah, it just feels like not really durable, and I think it has to do with the yarn. It was just not a great choice, but I used what they recommended. On this, however, like, I cannot wait to wear this out and have this peeking out from my boots. I almost exclusively wear boots too, and the same pair. I wear these Redbacks size 4.5. And I just love wearing colorful socks like this. And I really only have like 2 pairs of colorful socks that were like bought from Costco from my old employer for a Christmas present. But I just like love those socks. So anyway, I wanted to do a knit version that I made myself that was like, you know, brought me joy. So that's what this is. And in the Summerly Knits pattern, she does this really nice reinforced heel that I opted to use a different contrasting color for. Oh god, sorry. That must have been really loud. Maybe I'll like dull the volume so it doesn't like upset your pets and your, you know. Anyway, sorry. The reinforced heel, let me zoom in, was probably my favorite part to knit, honestly. It was a knit one, slip one, purlwise, and then on one side, and then the other side was a slip one, purl across. And then the heel turn was fun. I got to do some decreases that I realized I was doing wrong on one side. I think I was doing the slip slip knit wrong for like 2 of the rows, and then I fixed it. You can barely see the difference that it made. Oh, so you kind of see some lines here. This is how it's supposed to look. And then on this side, you don't, like, it's missing here, and then you see the lines there. So I don't, it's, you can barely see it, and also it's gonna be at the bottom of my foot, so nobody's gonna care. I hope the lighting is okay. Maybe that's better. It's getting kind of dark. For this or it's not finished, far from finished object, I used a Zober ball from Shopple. I could not pass this ball up because it just looked so magical. I talked about this in my first episode. So I'm finally using it. I picked it up at the Bazaar Girls yarn shop in Port Townsend when I was up there, I think about a month ago. And it just spoke to me, you know, like you'll see color schemes and textures and wool, and you're just like, I need to make something with it. So yeah, that was the color 1701. I'm looking at my notes because I got really disorganized last time and I learned from that. So the Zober ball is a 75% superwash wool and a 25% nylon. I opted to stick with more traditional blends when it comes to sock knitting right now because I'm still so new to it. I am mostly interested in natural yarn fiber types, so I do want to move away from things like nylon. Oh my god, I'm sorry if I'm shaking the table. I do want to move away from things like acrylic or synthetic types of fibers, but I don't know of any good natural fiber blends for socks, like really hard wearing fiber types for socks. So if anybody out there knows what kinds of natural blends work well for that, please let me know. I'd be so interested in that. But in the meantime, we're sticking with some nylon. And then for the contrast color, the cuff, toe, and heel, I use this gorgeous ball. This is I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Schachenmeyer Regia Premium. This is a merino yak blend, and it is a 58% merino, 14% yak, and 28% nylon blend. Both of these were 400 meters or 437 yards. And this Schachenmeyer was a 100-gram ball, and the Zober ball was, I think, more than that, 150 grams. So I call these my Phoebe Wall socks because she's an artist that immediately came to mind when I saw these colors. I will link her below too, because I think you might like her work. Sorry, limit to how long I can film. But yeah, Summerly Knits, thank you so much for releasing your School of Sock series. I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and highly recommend that series to anyone else who is, you know, dipping their toes into sock knitting. I'm so excited. So I'll be finishing that up soon. As far as other things to share, I have some garden updates. I'll insert footage at the beginning and end of every episode, really. Like, my B-roll is just beautiful or exciting things that I found throughout the week that I just want to share with you. So most of that tends to be garden footage right now, because I'm so proud of all the vegetables and fruit. I was like, do I have fruit? I do, because tomatoes are a fruit. Yeah, I'm so proud, and so I just want to document all of the things that I've been growing, and show the seasons changing, because that's something that we really all ought to be paying attention to. As a knitter too, it's I've never been more aware of the seasons changing than I have been now, and like time passing, and I could talk at length about that, having been from Hawaii, and like in Hawaii there's no seasons. I mean, there are, but like there's no real cues. Like Diamond Head really is just green, and then it's brown, and then it's green, and then it's brown. Like that's really the only indicator. And like it gets a little more rainy in like September, October, but that's it. And also I was a kid too, so like your concept of time is just like you don't really have any responsibilities or like quarterly profits to goals to meet or whatever. You're just a kid. But anyway, having moved from Hawaii to Washington, where there absolutely are seasonal cues, it was such a shock, and I was not prepared for it. And yeah, seasonal, what is it called? What is it called? Seasonal something disorder. I know all of you are like screaming it at me right now, but you know the disorder that I'm talking about, the one where there's like not enough sunlight, and so you're sad and depressed and don't know why and don't know how to like cope with it. The days are shorter, you feel less productive, and it hits some of us like way harder than we expect to be hit with it. And having moved from Hawaii, I just wasn't prepared for that. And I was also so young. I was 17, and I was, you know, forced to figure a lot out at once, like how to feed yourself well and how to practice good time management and go to bed at a consistent time. And you know, your 20s is for figuring a lot of that stuff out, and I struggled academically a lot too. Wow, we're going on a huge tangent, but I'd be happy to talk more about that later. I feel like my camera is gonna die soon. Yeah, it's flashing red at me. So maybe I need to wrap it up because it sounds like it. So enjoy some of this footage of my garden that I'm gonna throw in at the end. Stay tuned for episode 3, which I'll release in 2 weeks, and that'll be about when I move to Port Townsend. So I'm excited to see where life is at then. In the meantime, I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in my next episode. Take care, everybody.